a very strong team of functional and technical consultants. Our managing director and a couple of others on our team have worked with AX since its inception as Exapta in 1998. We support all versions of AX and have a team of developers on our staff that have written IP for the MRO market called ProMRO. We've also developed UPick for high volume picking and palletizing without the overhead of setups within AX. Our team has also created an app for mobile sales reps, allowing them to view inventory and perform other functions within AX and be more productive in the field. You can reach out to us for help with purchasing 365 for operations, upgrading, implementing, or supporting your older version of AX. Now I'd like to introduce Dan Burke. And Dan has joined Microsoft in July of 2006 as a partner technology specialist for Dynamics AX and is based in Minneapolis. He was a Gold Club recipient for 2007 and 2010, as well as a Technical Specialist of the Year for the Central Region in 2010 and 11. He is a member of the Services Technical Leadership Program, which is an elite Microsoft International Vision and Leadership team. Being a leader at Microsoft, Dan often educates and facilitates customer, partner, and peer groups in understanding Dynamics products. Dan has 25 years of ERP experience as a Dynamics AX partner, SAP technical trainer, and JD Edwards consultant. He's a supply chain expert, but is fundamentally skilled in most of the modules in AX, including retail, project accounting, manufacturing, and financials. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Dan. And for the audience, you may see just a couple of changes on the screens here as we transition the control of the presentation over to Dan. So Dan, as soon as you're ready, take it away.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great, thanks.
Okay, thanks a lot, Rob. I appreciate the introduction. And as Rob said, I've been with Microsoft, it's 11 years now, going 11 years. This it goes quick. So what I thought I'd do today is, introduce you to Dynamics 365 for operations. Kind of discuss what it is, some of the value that our customers get from it, and then do a demo. Everybody likes to see a demo, so we can't leave without doing that. So, as Rob said, if you have any questions, put them up in the chat window. We'll get to them at the end, and we'll make sure that we get those questions answered. So with that, I'll just kind of get started. It's all about digital transformation. So if you look on your desk, if you look maybe in your pocket, or some of you might even have it in your hand right now, you probably have a smartphone. And that's really fundamentally changed the way that we do a lot of things, in your personal lives. Like if you want to find a good restaurant, you look it up. If you need to know where to find gas, it's like, okay, you get on the map and you know the closest place to get gas. You want to know what that song is? Find out what the song is. I mean, this fundamentally changed the way that you interact with your environment, the way that you change and get information. Well, people expect that in their personal lives, but in business lives, it's a little different, right? Because the systems that most people have, they find it very difficult to get information out. They have all kinds of people with different roles that they have to synchronize and orchestrate across the organization with different security modes and things like that, which is much more difficult. And the platforms they're on really don't lend themselves well to it. And really, with the digital transformation, you want to do it in your personal life, but you really need to do it in business, because that's what we work for. And really what we want to do is we want to optimize your operations. So we're going to see how using the Dynamics 365 for operations really can optimize your operations, and then empower your employees. You want to make sure that your employees can do the best work that they possibly can do, and with the tools that they have. And of course, transform your products. Make sure that it's time to market's a lot faster, and then minimize your inventories, things of that nature to get out. And then let's have that engagement with your customers. So a friend of mine named Dennis. Dennis is an entrepreneur and an investor, and he's on the board of multiple companies. Him and I were chatting, and he was, telling me a story about, some of the board meetings that he goes to. And one of the board meetings that he went to early on for one of the companies, he asked him, okay, what does it cost to retain an employee? I mean, a customer. What does it cost to acquire a customer? Which ones are our most profitable one? From what channels are the most profitable? And the CEO couldn't answer these questions. I don't know. It's like, Well, how much time did you spend getting ready for this board meeting? Well, like, 6 or 7 days. What? Yes. It's like, well, don't you have the tools? Well, no, we don't have the reporting to get out of this. Well, Dennis is not a kind, gentle soul, if you will. And so there was some serious discussion after that. He goes, you need to get these tools. You need to get something that you can get the reporting out. Give me this information, because it's like, I have a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders. You need to get that. Well, let's just say that it was a quick turnaround, and that company actually had a digital transformation to be able to get information out. It's critical nowadays to be able to get that. But, Dynamics 365, how is that going to help with your digital transformation? Well, historically, we've had CRM, or called Dynamics CRM, and then there was other ERP. It might have been NAV ERP or GP ERP or Dynamics AX ERP. Well, that's the history, and then they're kind of siloed, and then we integrate other products and things, maybe get some reporting out of it. But that's changed. With the Dynamics 365, we've changed the whole ecosystem, the whole technology, the whole enablement of what your business apps are. So that's Dynamics 365. So on the CRM side, you might have known it as sales, or Salesforce automation, or field service, or project automation, or finance used to be the NAV product, but it's just finance for NAV, or operations used to be AX. Well, where you platform this, re-technologize, I think I just coined a word, operations for Dynamics 365, for integration as a whole platform for that digital transformation. And what we're going to do today is we're going to focus on the operations side. At a later time, we can focus on any one of these, but today is just operations. So what is the anatomy of Dynamics 365 operations? Well, if you look at this, this hemisphere here, typically what you look at, like an ERP application would be, might be the retail. If you look in the mantle here, the retail, procurement, the supply chain management, production, human capital management, the financials, AR, AP, so on and so forth. But we also allow extensions. It's an extendable product. So if you have some customizations, just like clients first did with their ProMRO and some of their mobility functions, that fits in seamlessly and unknowingly to the users. And it is also upgradable. So in the mantle here, that's kind of the core. On the center of this, it's hosted by the cloud. So it's a cloud application. So the deployment's going to be through the cloud. The usability is going to be cloud. You can get it anywhere in any geo across the world. But on the outer side, on the crust, really, this is different. This is different. It can be on any device. I'll spend a little bit of time on this later, but any device, whether it be Android or Apple or a Windows device or a tablet or a PC, whatever it might be, there's a new UI. We have 74 usability labs all over the world that just work on UI, and we get telemetry back to make sure that we have a really easy to use, fundamentally sound system for everybody out there. Power BI. Power BI for reporting. As Dennis had mentioned, it's like, why can't you get this report? Well, we want something to be able to get a report out, get some insight into it, and really kind of get to the root cause of it, and not just service a paper report with just columns and rows that you read out as the same report every single day with just maybe a few different numbers on it. We really want to get some business insight in that, and that's built into the system. So in memory. With huge amounts of data, with the PC, we don't want to cache back and forth from the disks back and forth. So it's like we can take huge amounts of information, transform it, and get it out very quickly. If you look across on the top, ML. So it's Microsoft is machine learning, or Azure machine learning, also known in the industry standard as AI, or artificial intelligence. Can we get some insight into the data? What can we suggest to our customers? What's our forecast? Is there any environmental factors that have to do with this? I have one customer that actually is, they do farm equipment. And so they take geo satellite data from a farm field and measure it out so they can see what's the health of the soil, and then map it out according to what the track is. So they can, program that into the farm equipment to see where they need to put the most efficient amount of fertilizer. Well, that's great, but they tied this into their sales order system, so they know exactly how much they need from what to spray. So they put it on a sales order from that directly to be shipped out to the farmer. Now that's intelligent systems. IoT, or the Internet of Things. So if your machine's breaking down, tell me. If the oil pressure's down, let's put a maintenance order out there. So it's complete integration into everything out in the world. Big data. If you have, like, large amounts of data, how can you make heads or tails of this, and how can you manipulate that and make good business decisions out of this? And then lastly, there's integration platform. We don't live on an island. We want to be able to integrate not only with the applications that we have out of the box integrated with all the Microsoft stuff, but anything else out there. Any line of business app or third-party app or a single app out there that works to make your business more efficient and a better business. So really, this is the anatomy of Dynamics 365. Now, I talked about the any device anywhere. Well, that's because it's in the HTML5 client, so it'll work on Chrome, Internet Explorer, Edge, Firefox, anything, right? It'll also optimize for if you have a smaller screen on a tablet or even a phone. And I'm going to show you something special at the end about how we can actually make the mobile devices even better and more seamless. We've actually flattened the navigation and made it very familiar with the user interface. Like I said, we have 74 usability units throughout the whole world that work together to make sure that not only by guess and trial and error, but by telemetry and by scientific methodology, what's the optimized UX for the users that we have. And of course, it's familiar with Office. So how many of you on the phone probably took training for Office? Probably nobody. But you know how to use it. It's intuitive. You figure it out. And that's the way people want to work. They don't want to have to sit there and read the manuals and get all these training things. They want to have an intuitive system to make sure that it works and really optimize that user experience. We also want the right client for the right role. So sometimes it's, again, on the desktop. If you're an accountant, you'll be sitting at your desk all day. That's just fine. If you're a retailer, you have a POS system that you need PCI compliant, that's a little different. But you also might want to have a tablet out there, just like, to help recommend products to the customers. If you're selling them a computer, you might want to have like a kiosk type of function or a comparison and contrast within that device that's going to go out there. Or a shop floor controller, you want a hardened device that's really simple to be able to enter completions in that. It's also about productivity. Historically, you have to memorize a lot in the system to get around. And you have to dig, and you have to know where you are in the hierarchy to get, maybe to get to a sales order or to an item master or some setup screen. And it took a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience to be good at it, right? Well, we want people to be productive right out of the box and right out of the gate, I should say. So we have a simple navigation. We have something called workspaces, which I'm going to show you a little bit, that really make a productivity, instead of like having to pull data out of the system or pull information or hunt and peck to try to find things. It pushes your job to you. Why don't we present the job that you need to do and tell you what you need to do instead of having to dig for it? And that's really kind of a paradigm change from everything else out there. So it's also about the reinvention. So we look at that pushing information to people, and it starts out with a dashboard. Based upon what your role is or what your duties are, you're going to have a dashboard that is going to give you some components that you need to do activities with. And so there's a single point of entry to be able to get in there. And then you'll have drill into those for the workspaces. That's for that type of job you're going to do. Are you a sales order processor? Do you do month-end close? Are you a production planner that you'll have on your dashboard? But you drill into there. It's like, this is my job for that type of task or activity that I need to do. That's based upon your role. And everything is within one click. So instead of having to dig down 4 or 5 different levels, let's just make sure that no matter where you're at, you can get what you need within one click universally. And the product is also, across all industries, like human capital management or financials, or industry specific. If you're a process manufacturer, lean manufacturer, retailer, we have some functionality on that. But I think this is kind of the most important thing. So we can do transactions all day long, but can you get business inside out of it? And that's really what you want out of these systems. So we can do all the transactions, but can you make good decisions based upon the history or what the data tells you or these transactions tell you? And how easy is it for you to do? Do you have to have a master's in computer science to be able to write a report, or is it just served up to you and then you can intuitively just click on it to see if it makes sense to you based upon some relationship? And we're going to see that in a second. Also, you want it actionable. If you see something, do something. If you have a task, make sure it's embedded within the your workspace, and then be able to click on it, and then the task disappears. So it serves up the task for you. You execute it, and it's done. So you just do your job as efficiently as possible. And then, this is important, but a lot of people don't think about it. Is the best of the technology. So they might buy like an ERP, but they have somebody else that does their servers and somebody else that does their database, and then you need some security management, and maybe you need mobile security management. Well, and I need to buy this report writer from some other, company. Well, we have the best of Microsoft technology. We wrote the application, we did the database, we had run Azure. It's like, so we own Office and Excel and Word. We have SharePoint. We have Active Directory and Identity Management. It's all in there. These teams collaborate and work together, and one can't go forward without the rest. So you have the best of all Microsoft technology that people don't realize that they just care that it works, right? You, if you're in IT, have to make sure it works, is secure, and it runs. And if there's a problem, who do I call? What do I need to do? I'm sure that this isn't compatible. That's no excuse anymore. It has to be up all the time. And you have the best of Microsoft technology into this. And it's also a global product. So there's localizations across the world for just about every continent. And it has all the reporting for whatever geo that you're in. So it has something called general electronic reporting that's like, it's adaptable from anywhere from China to Brazil and Nota Fiscal to Germany to US and across all other locales throughout the whole world. So it is truly a global product with localizations and languages. Well, is it right for you? Well, we target 5 different verticals. So first of all is manufacturing. So we're really good at manufacturing, lean, discrete, and process manufacturing. And so here's just kind of a sampling of some of the verticals in the manufacturing. The second one is distribution. Do you distribute? Do you do warehousing? Do you ship product to elsewhere? Do you do construction or product goods? And again, this is a sampling of some of the verticals within that. We also focus on retail. So if you're a retailer, we're seeing more manufacturers doing like specialty shops or retails, or if you have like a pop-up kiosk shop that you do, like Hickory Farms, who's another customer of ours, that's a retailer, or a brick and mortar store, so Mattress Firm, for instance, or Ashley Furniture within the retail spaces. We also work in service. So if you're a project-based or project-based billing with a ton of materials, it might be milestones, they have a work breakdown structure. We work in the services very well. And lastly is public sector. So if you're a government entity, we work in public sector. So those are the five basic verticals that we work in. Let's dig a little bit deeper. What are the components within those different verticals? If you look in the upper left-hand corner, it's like the retail. So you have point of sale. There's an omni-channel in there. So no matter if it's a retail, it's a call center, or they do it over e-commerce, and they want to pick it up the store, it is available for you. We manage all the merchandising and the catalogs. And it's like, if you have large stores or small stores, they have different merchandising or catalogs that we push items out to them. That's all controlled within the retail and the retail headquarters. And if we go across, there's sales and marketing. So, and from quote to cash of full sales and marketing and procurement system with involved. So not only is like purchasing and indirect purchasing, and we do punch outs. We also have workflows for requisitions. Supplier relationship management and e-procurement within the procurement, and a whole lot more. And of course, this is tied in not only to the supply chain, the projects, and everything else. In supply chain management or inventory management, we manage inventory. How much we need, where do we need it, why do we need it? Is there an order promising? What's the cable available to promise if you want 500 of these units based upon our current capacity and inventory levels and lead times for items that we don't have or what's in inventory? tell me what I can get it, and be able to give them a valid promise of the dates that they want, and then have that relationship with your customers. Manufacturing, kind of bread and butter. About half of our the install base of the Dynamics Office or Dynamics 365 for operations is in manufacturing. And what's different on this versus a lot of systems is it's all in one for lean, process, and discrete. So some systems, they do lean really well, but it doesn't really work with their discrete, and it doesn't really work with their process, or vice versa. So we do lean in Kanbans and process and Cohen byproducts and all of those all together, along with configuration. So if you have a configured product, for instance, if you buy a car that's custom, that if you want you want leather, you want sunroof or some other package, that's going to configure it, and it's a customization or some mass customization of one. That's managed within the system. Also, transportation warehouse. Since we do distribution, we better do warehousing. So, that's full barcoding or RF picking, full transportation management, and route optimization. That's multimodal. Now, if you look at the bottom,
it's Rob. I'm going to jump in for just a moment here. We've got a couple of people on the line that say they're having trouble hearing. So I don't know if the speaker might be going in and out or what the situation is, but I just wanted to make you aware if there's anything you can do to adjust on your side.
Okay, can you? I'm adjusting my mic. Can you hear me better now, Rob?
Sounds pretty good for me.
Okay.
Let's give it a run.
Yeah, and it's like I want to be careful because I'm wearing a headset, and I want to make sure it's loud enough, but I don't want a hot rod, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
So
okay, well,
yeah.
let's go with that and see if we get any feedback.
And I'll try to move this a little bit closer.
Sounds good.
So and then if we kind of go to the bottom, it's like human capital management. Human resources payroll. And then the center on the bottom, financial management. This is really the core of any system. The general ledger, the accounts receivable, the accounts payable, cash commitments, bank, budgeting systems and that. And then for service, there's project management and project accounting with the work breakdown structure, interoperability in all these different systems. But as I mentioned, and I keep on mentioning, the business insights. Just because you do the transactions, how's your business doing? What's the health of this? How do we know that that it's doing really well? And the beautiful thing is we have Power BI that's built in, and we have these built-in data entity models, which is a cube, if you will. And with most systems, you got a cube. You can refresh it once a day, so the data might be up to 24 hours old. We have real-time data, or within like 5 or 10 seconds, which is effectively real-time business data that is updated right within the system because of our data entity model. And that's a very different thing. So you can see how things are going very quickly and instantaneously. So let's see the software. I think that's what everybody hears wants to see. So I'm going to go into Dynamics 365 for operations, and this is me a home page. And so you're going to see a lot of different things on here on my dashboard because I'm an admin, so I have access to everything in the system. I'm going to show you another screen here in a little bit, but the first thing you're going to see is these workspaces, and we'll drill into these. It's like, if you're a project manager, if you're doing sales or processing, if you're a master planner, you want to see that, or a shop floor manager, so on and so forth. So these can have different colors based upon what they are. So it's like employee self-service sales and stuff are a little darker versus product maintenance or PLM type of stuff is a little lighter than the retail different components. So we'll go into these in just a second. But there's also calendar tells where we're at, and then also some work that's assigned to me. So for instance, there's a cash advance that I put in for a workflow that's been returned because it's been rejected. Okay. My expense report's been done and approved. I have a purchase requisition that I'm actually assigned with approving. So, and you can send it to your Outlook, and we love Outlook, but sometimes that's not appropriate. Why don't you push it to where they're going to do their work and just kind of upload it there? Because in Outlook, we all know that sometimes it's like, okay, I'll get to it, I'll mark it as unread, or I'll work on it later, or kind of gets lost in the shuffle. Let's just push the work to them right there. So that's a workflow. Now, navigation around, let's talk about navigating around. So what we have right here, if we actually want to go to the window, we can see things like what's my favorites. If I wanted to go to my purchaser, the things that I've been to recently, because we do all the telemetry of people, and of our TAP customers who agree to have that telemetry. And we found out that it's like, people go to the same screens over and over again, so we can actually go into the users, or the users or release products, whatever it might be. Or if I want to have this as a favorite, I can add this to the favorites, and I just click right here for my favorites, and a lot of people like to use those. So I'm going to close this out. We're going to have the different workspaces. If we want to navigate through here through the tree structure for the workspace, I'm not going to do that now. What are the different modules? And the funny thing is, with the research, we found out that people that have been using it since Exapta 3.5 or 3.0, kind of like to use the navigations, they're familiar with it. New users like to go through the workspaces. Again, some telemetry that we find, but since if you've been using it for a while and you want to go into, let's say, if we want to go into product information management and look at the different products or product masters, you certainly can, or bill of material. And here's the available workspaces. It's like if you want to release products or for process or manufacturing, we can see that. So you can drill in that way. Well, I'm not going to go there. I like to use the workspaces because this really serves up the job for you. Here's how we're going to navigate around. And really what they are is it's like they're going to increase productivity. So for instance, if you're a finance person, you have to do a financial period close at the end of the month or end of the quarter, then end of the year. What do we need to do? So for this January period, I have some multiple different companies. So I have USMF, US Retail, Russian manufacturing, I have some German that are all rolling up that I have to do financial closes and roll up. So I have a number of tasks. And if we see I have 46 past due tasks, so I'm running late in my demo. I have 45 of those that are due today. We have 55 that still need to be done that are blocked because I need to get these ones done, and I have 131 total remaining. So there's 2/3 of those are or 1/3 of those are past due tasks. Well, what's the status of those? What job do I need to do? So if we see it by status by company, or we can status by area, like if this might be ARAPGL. For where the tasks need to be done, or by like who's doing what, so we can actually look at this by person. So, April's 33%, Arnie's doing a good job, he's 75%, Cassie, I need to talk to Connie here. She's got some other things to do, and then we can see the whole task list. But if I click on this company, and I just click on USMF, now what it's going to do is going to show me what I need to do for these tasks. It's like, so these are late, we have an exclamation point. I need to post these payment journals. And we see that it's, some of these are red over here and who they're due by, April or Cassie. And I can show the completed tasks also and to see what's been done. So, okay, so we did the finalized billing period, posted, verify, and now I can go into the currency evaluation before I actually go to these next ones. So these three I can do independently, but I can't go to verify an agent report until I can do these three things. So it has a relationship in there too. So again, it's being productive for the job. Well, great. If I wanted to do this, how do I do it? Well, you can actually just click on here and post the pending invoices, so it takes you to there. So depending on what your role is, who you are, and what you need to do, the job's going to be served up directly here, so I can actually post this, the pending invoices of what I need to do. So again, the role page is pushing your job to you and making it really easy to function. We'll also have some reports into here. So ending inventory was something I want to know. We'll come back to that. And some links. So if I just want to actually look at all the tasks or the ledger or some other financial period component that I need to, we can certainly drill into that. So I'm going to go back to my home page by just clicking on operations and looking at another one. So that's a financial period close. What if I'm a shop floor manager and I want to just look at the production floor management? Well, I'll have access to that and see that, there's a shop floor manager. I have some jobs to complete. I have some testing and operations. I can actually see who this is assigned to. This is a high priority job, and this is attached to Arnie. And so we see what the job is. And if I needed to move these things or reprioritize, I can quickly do this or look at the progress. So again, we're serving up the job to that person. So I have a whole bunch of jobs that are not started and then how many do I have stopped? And I have 2 in progress and nothing's completed. And I have 6 more that I need to release. Well, as a shop floor manager, I want to release this. Do I have the components? Do I have everything necessary to be able to release these jobs, and which ones do I need to release? Well, it serves it up to you. You have 6 of them. And we'll just click on these jobs. And we see that, okay, the check mark means it's good. So this one here for the standard speaker. And here's the standard speaker that we can just click on. A nice little picture. Shows me what it is and what I need to do. Then I'm going to make 22 of these, and I have all the components. Not a problem. But if we go to this one, for this high-end speaker, it's not ready to be released because I'm missing some cabinets that need to be done. So those are in progress that need to be done, so I can't necessarily release those yet. So again, it's serving up the job and helping you manage and organize your operations. So let's go back here. You look at shop floor management. Also, we have some other Power BI, some charts that are into there. It's like, okay, here's what I'm forecasting going through. What's my productivity? We can see this in different links. So again, the workspaces are meant to streamline your job and your business. So I'm going to just click back to operations, kind of go back to my home page. Let's look at this from someplace else. Let's just, okay, so I'm on Edge right here. Your screen's going to flash. And we're actually went to Chrome, and I'm logged in as Trisha. And Trisha right here is a project administration person. But if you see her page, her dashboard, she's only got a few different things on here. Since she's a project management administration person, she has got to manage some projects. She has to do some purchasing, and then maybe some like billing or getting things back from these different projects. So if we click on this project management, and let's just log back in, and it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. And time me out. So she's, we have the different projects and planning and project templates here. So again, based upon what your role, you'll have different access to different things that'll simplify your operations. Let's go back to admin, and let's look at the whole smorgasbord here. So I'm going to go into a sales order processing workspace, and let's take a look at this. So in sales order processing, we see the orders that have been confirmed, all customers, what's been confirmed or not, and if we want to see that we have 2 unconfirmed, what actually are unconfirmed. We can see these unconfirmed orders, and it's like we can drill into them through here or confirm them if we want to. But I want to look at this thing called customers. And so I want to look at all these customers, and the layout on the navigation here is very similar to, if you will, Excel. So you have the Excel sheet that we can actually move around, and we can sequences, or we can actually sort on like a header, so we can look at like customer group 10 and just look at these 10s, and then it's like maybe I want to sort these out by name then to C to A, whatever it might be. So again, it's like Excel, and we can move the columns around and hide columns, so on and so forth. So if we go into this and I just click on one of these customers, we have these things called fact boxes on the side, and it's like if you're on the customer, you want to be able to find them really quick, so we can just actually find and type in for cave. So it's like, okay, you have the highest balance of 274, average is 80, you're getting up there to 219. So I have that, any recent activities or sales orders that I've had with them. So we see that information at your fingertips. That's very easy to use, and you can use it with a touch screen and a touch experience. But the thing about customers is, how do we manage that? How do we do something with the customers? Well, we actually put these into ribbons to be able to find information. And there's an adage in computer systems like this, is if you don't know where it is, for all intents and purposes, it doesn't exist. So you might have the feature, but you don't know where it is, so you can't use it, you can't do it. And so, at Microsoft, we're very aware of that. How do we make it so people can intuitively get to what they need and find it? Well, first of all, we want it to the workspace. The second thing is, let's group it. If anything that's related to the customer, have their contacts or transactions or balance, some simple information, it's on a ribbon. If it's related to selling, if I have a new sales or a quotation, or if I want to look at existing things, it's related to selling here. Anything related to invoicing, anything related to collections. Do we send them any marketing material or any campaigns out to them? Well, yeah, let's see what we had for mailings. So we made it very simple and easy and intuitive for people to start using this, because again, people don't like to read the manuals. They don't stay up in bed and read the manuals at night. They rarely hit F1 and help, and of course we have that, but we want to intuitive them. But let's make it even simpler. What if we wanted to find like an invoice here? Well, what kind of invoice? A free text invoice, a recurring invoice, a journal invoice, a bill of exchange, periodic statistics. Well, you know what? I just look at the periodic statistics. Let's take a look at that. There's more than one type of invoice in here, and we can easily find that and get to the right thing that we wanted to do. So real simple, be able to drill down into that customer. So navigating and finding information, which is key to be able to utilize a system like this, is very easy and simple. Well, there's also something else here. So if you see this, if you see I move the finger over, we'll see what the delay is, that this is a group 10. And so these are a customer group. But what does a group 10 customer really mean? I'm going to click on this and drill down. So I have my wholesale customers and the net 10 terms and stuff, so I have some defaults into there. So we also have a filter. I'm actually going to reset this filter. Do I have any other type of customer groups? Yeah, I certainly do. I have 10, 120, 30, 40, whatever. Well, you know what? I want to add my own customer group, but I want to do this in Excel because I'm just comfortable in Excel. Excel is a good office tool, and I want to do that. I can hit new right here, but if you look at this, here's the office icon. And I can export it to do some analysis, and we're going to see some reporting a little bit later. But if I actually just want to open this in Excel, I want to open this in Excel, and it's going to adhere to all my security rights and my view rights and my update rights, and it adheres to the functions within the system. So I'm just going to actually export that to Excel. Oops. And we're going to go into Excel here. And so if we see in here that if I wanted to go and make a change, so you know what, I am going to make a change on this customer and edit this, and let's call this, just instead of wholesale, I'm going to call it wholesale customers, and save it. Okay, so I just changed it within the Dynamics 365 operations. Well, let's see what it does in Office. So if we actually just refresh this, is it going to change to my wholesale customers? It certainly did. So, there's times when it's like you just want to be able to enter data throughout or utilize information within Excel, and it adheres to all security rights. So let's say if I wanted to do one that is a group 50, and these are clients first. And it's net 10. So if you made a mistake here, it's going to validate, and I don't want to do that. And so all that looks good. Let's publish this. Let's do an update into the publish. So let's take a look here and refresh this on the screen. We have a clients first here for 50. So, you have that integration. You want seamless integration. That digital transformation is done right here. You want to make sure that people utilize the tools that from the north is most efficient and effective for your business. So let me get out of here and close out, and let me just go back to operations. Well, these workspaces are really nice, but in Microsoft, I'm sure we did a ton of research. A lot of very intelligent, a lot of hardworking people, try to plan out what these workspaces are for your industry. A lot of the times you just want to make your own workspace. So what if we want to go into here and say, okay, I just want to go into here and just add a workspace. I'm going to call this. Okay, so if we go down to here, I actually added my workspace one right here. So I have my workspace one, and I can go into this and personalize this, and I'm going to call it, okay, clients first workspace. Okay, so I'm going to call that clients first workspace, and it's empty. Okay, well, how do we actually make these workspaces? How can we personalize this to make this specific and optimized for my industry, my business? Well, let's go back over here. I did a search once before on the ribbons, but I want to do a total search. I want to go look at all customers because I want to have my customers on my workspace. And so I'm just doing a search for all my different customers. So I want to go to my customers here and say, you know what, that's good. I want to look at all my customers. I can sort and do those things, but let's go into this options. Let's add to the workspace. And what's workspace we want to add to? We want to add to this client's first workspace. I'm going to add this as a tile. I can add as a tile, a list, or a link. I'm going to add two of these. So I'm going to actually add this as a tile. Do I want to have the customers? So we'll call it clients first customers and put the count on there. That looks good. I also want to add another one, and it's going to default to the clients first, but I want to add this as a list. Because the list pages, it's like, I want this on my workspace with a few different columns on it that I want for my different customers. So I want that, and I want their credit limit on there as well. So I want some columns on there for that. So let's go back to my operations, my home page. Let's go back to my clients first workspace, and we actually see my different customers onto here. And so we can actually drill down through the customers, and we can drill down into here. Let's go back off this page, and we see that the different customers with the columns that I just added onto here that are actionable. So again, you can customize this or tailor this based upon the roles to optimize it for your industry. Now this is going to show up no matter what device that you're going to be using, whether it be Mac or PC or Android or whatever it might be. So let's go back to my home for operations here. So it's easy to customize. Well, let's take a look at some reporting, and some reporting is really strong within the system. So if we go back to my sales process and inquiry, we saw that we had a Power BI component onto here. And so this Power BI is a nice report. Says, it's like who my customers, what are they doing? It's like Conto, so I can hover over there. They're over 50% of the business that we have. And we see that, it's 3.2% for Pelican. It's like for the items that we sell. So, wow, it's like we got to treat them really well, Contoso Europe, because they're our best customers. Is this true? Well, let's take some insight. Let's see if we can get some real insight into this data. So I'm actually going to this Power BI sales ranking report. And we can see that, is this really true for this data? Well, just by clicking on this, we embedded Power BI right within the system. And we see that, Contoso Europe is 51.35, 74,000 items. But if we look at this by how much revenue we have, they look pretty equal. And then I also have something that's attached here for the graph is, what's the amount? Well, they're kind of like, pretty equal across here. But I thought that Contoso Europe was my biggest customer. Well, let's look at this. And so what's their chunk of the pie? So they're number one, but doesn't look too much more than other customers. And they have some products that are low quantity in amounts, one with this low quantity, big volume, but they have one with a lot of different items on it. So let's just click back here and let's click on this item and find out, what? This is a high volume, low cost item that they take the majority of this. That is only a small amount of their profit into here. So really, that's kind of an outlier. Are they profitable or not? How much insight can I get into this? You really get some insight into the data by being able to drill down in there instead of just making flip judgments. Just be able to follow your intuition and your nose into this. Now, the beautiful thing is, if I go, one next click there, let me go back to my sales order processing. If I really wanted to just go directly into Power BI, not have it embedded within AX, again, that digital transformation, these things work together. Let's click onto here, and it opens my Power BI screen. And you'll see that I have information of all kinds of different things. So not only like sales data, dashboards, project planning, demand forecasting, some AI stuff that I put back into this system to be able to get some insight into what I'm selling, what I'm buying, what I'm purchasing, who's my top customers, and how much does it cost to gain and retain a customer, which is also very important. So again, the difference between just running your business and managing your business is the insight that you can get out of this within it. But as long as I'm talking about Office Integration, it's a full Office integration. So this is Office 365, or for on-premise, just called Office, right? That's integrated into Word, and we saw that integrated in Excel. We saw it integrated into Power BI already. But there's also other things that integrates into. So if we integrated this to, for instance, like Delve, tell me what I need to know. What documents do I have? What's related? Is there any blogs that I should be aware of? Push me some information. What do I need to know? How do I use this library? How do I find something? So if I wanted to look up something like Surface, so if you ever use like one of our Microsoft Surfaces, they're really nice tablets, or or the Surface Book, which is a nice PC. But tell me something about the Surface. Tell me about the tech specs on here. I can easily find that. So it gives me the tech specs of what the Surface is. That's really nice. Well, there's some magic behind here, right? How did this get here? Did somebody put it on a SharePoint site? Did somebody make it available to me? For all intents and purposes, people don't care. They just want to be able to get what they want to get. So how did I get there? Let me just go into here. I'm just going to go into, I'm just going to do a released products. And it's going to actually show me my released products. And let's see where this came from. So this is actually within Dynamics 365 for operations. And hopefully I gain that back to, so on the surface right here, I just lost connection. Hopefully you can still hear me. We have the release product here, and then we can see on that little paper clip, this was an attachment that we actually did within the product data management system, which we shared automatically on SharePoint, which came through, and we actually see the preview under here. So whether an ERP user or not doesn't matter. If you need information, part of your organization, if you have rights to see and access it, let's have that integrated. Let's have this viewable for all. So again, we have a complete Office integration. We can spend some more time on that, but I'm going to go back to my home page for now. Now I'm going to show you one other thing here before we go. Well, it seems pretty easy, Dan, right? This is a good, easy system. But how do I do it? It's the first time I'm a little nervous. I'm not sure how to do it. Teach me or show me how to do it. Well, I certainly can, but let's just actually go into this help. And so on this help, we can type in, like, I want to do a purchase order. And so I'm going to just click on purchase, and we see that all kinds of different components here for the purchase come up. Whether we want to create a purchase order through a sales order, or it's like if I want to do a purchase agreement, or if I want to do a receipt of a purchase order, it's all there. So it's like I just want to go see here and say, okay, let's set up a purchase order here, create a purchase order from a sales order. I just want to create a purchase order. Okay, so teach me something here. So I just want to create a simple purchase order. Now, if you narrow down the scope, it's going to tell you things. It'll actually narrow down the scope for you and reduce the amount of things if you get more specific. So this is nice. At Microsoft, we wrote you a nice thing and how to do a purchase order. You start with this procedure, tells you what you need to do, and so on and so forth. But you know what? I'm still a little nervous about this, so I'm not sure if I want to do this. Well, guide me through it. So there's actually a task guide. It says, okay, go to procurement and sourcing and then go there. So if I want to do it the old-fashioned way, I'll go to procurement and sourcing. And, okay, go to procurement and sourcing and go to all purchase orders. I got that. Okay, so what do I do now? It says go to new. So if you notice, it like actually moves over here and says I click on the new and purchase orders. So it's actually going to guide me through creating a whole purchase order. Now, we have these out of the box. I'm going to cancel out of this for now and not do this just for this example. But we have something called a task guide and task recorder. So we have them out of the box for you, but you can also create your own by just actually doing it in a task recorder. So if you have your own way of doing business, you can actually record this, make any notes that you want, and it's actually going to be tied to a business process management system. And that business process management system is kind of important. So I'm going to get out of here and go back to my deck. So let's go back to my deck here, just a little flash for a second. Something called lifecycle services. And in lifecycle services, we manage the whole business process through the whole life, through the investigation, through the development and deployment of the system, through the operation of the system. And we see here, this is a picture of actually a business process right here, the business process modeler. And that's tied to that task guide. So based on your business process, that's tied to here, but it's also tied to your configuration and your implementations. Like, so if you have this business process, you need to have these things set up so it doesn't get dropped onto there. And so we can also deploy it. We're going to deploy and manage it through the cloud, through lifecycle services. And all your support's going to be there. So if you have a problem and you think there's a problem with the system, look it up. Maybe it's just, maybe you're not using it quite right. But what if there is a bug? We can see a bug, we can actually deploy it here and actually get that update through the system. This is a cloud-based system, and we can do this very quickly, and that's lifecycle services. So lifecycle services define, develop, and operate. You'll have the dashboards, not unlike the dashboards that we saw earlier with operations. Well, we can say, it's like, what's your infrastructure that you need? And it's like, how many licenses do we need? How much do you, anything develop? So if you have a business process and you have a deviation in there, you want to do an extension or a customization, we can put that as a deviation. It's tied to Visual Studio Team Services. And so we can actually go through the whole process again as tracked, and then we upload it from the dev system to the test and, of course, the production system. And, okay, so What if you want to upgrade from an earlier version to a newer version? There's an upgrade analysis tool, and also an analysis tool for how good your code might be. And then when you're running it, okay, it's running slow. Well, how slow? Well, we have a diagnostic tool and like a system management tools, not unlike what if you're familiar with older Microsoft technologies, like a system center type of thing. So we track all the telemetry to make sure that it's running efficiently and optimally, so your users have a great experience. So, that's lifecycle services. And it's for the developer, the business analyst, and IT expert. Again, here's the dashboard. So whether you're going to do the business process modeler, whether you go to the code upgrade, so on and so forth. Also, this is cloud, so you can manage all the environments directly from this. So you have one-stop shop. I talk to a lot of different executives, and they say, hey, you know what? We're in the retail business or in the manufacturing business, not in the server business. You manage that. You do that well. We just want to do our production. And that's what Lifecycle Services allows you to do. I promised at the very beginning I was going to tell you something a little bit different about this mobile app. So, we saw some pretty heavyweight systems, like for sales. We saw some customers on there. We saw some production things in there. But what if you're in the field and it's like you just have your phone, you don't want to bring a big laptop or a tablet even, and you just need to do a few things. And how is it optimized for the screen so I don't have all kinds of different fields and components on there that I don't need? Well, we have a mobile app. We have a mobile app wizard that can actually take these screens to make yourself a dashboard, to a workspace, to the list page, to actually any task that you need to do right within the mobile experience without having to custom write for an Android, an Apple, or a mobile, or whatever operating system that you do use. And really, this is not it's not a developer experience, because developing within mobile apps often is kind of expensive, and it's especially skilled. And just for a little app, sometimes it may or may not be worth it traditionally. But if we actually make this a wizard experience for the deploy and just click the fields that you want, put on the app designer to put it into here, and then it renders for you. It makes it real simple. It turns from a developer experience to a subject matter expert experience that is easily deployable. And the beautiful thing is, it adheres to the same security because it's AAD or Azure Active Directory that you have. So you're not going to be able to access anything that you shouldn't be doing, and it's going to make sure that your data is all secure. And this can be for any thing that you want. Well, let's say maybe it's like, for financial, someone's on vacation, maybe you have to do a simple journal entry once in a while. You need a lightweight app for that, for an accountant to be able to do that, or a simple sales order. So this is not a developer experience. And again, we can go into all the details of the information. So it's a simple experience for you as an organization to make anything that you want mobile, or more appropriately, that digital transformation is going to make your employees more effective by utilizing these. There's also, I mentioned machine learning. So these are out of the box, some examples that we have, like customer segmentation, cross-sell, upsell, route planning, or, predictive maintenance into things, or, demand planning and forecasting. So, but also you have all of machine learning and all of Azure. So if you want to modify or make your own correlations, that's available to you. It's a tool for you that we have templates. And lastly, I want to talk a little bit about the roadmap. So we telegraph exactly what we're doing to our customers. So if you want to find out what we're doing here at Microsoft and what's been released and updated, just go to roadmap.dynamics.com. And I'm going to flip over to that screen here. Let's see here. Okay. Well, okay. So if we go to the roadmap.dynamics.com, we see that it's for all the different components for sales, service, field service, operations, or financials. But if you can just click on operations, which I did, it tells you what we're building into this. Since this is a cloud development, our development is super fast. Things that used to take us a year or two, we're getting done within just a few short months, and be able to update those. So for instance, like on this one right here that I've been helping with, like this visual scheduling, I've been working with the product engineering team. That's going to be released here very shortly, is an example of what we're putting together. And I started working with the team in November. We already have it testing with customers, going to be released very shortly. So if you want to see, what we're doing for store inventory or shift ends or purchase requisitions, what we're putting in the system, there's the roadmap for you. With that, I'm going to take a deep breath, pause, and then Rob, if we have any questions or closing comments.
Okay, I think we may need to give control back over to Nancy, if that's possible.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. There you go.
Hi.
Hi, Nancy.
Thank you.
We did have a question here, Dan. Nancy, did you want to handle the question, or if there's multiple questions that you saw, or did you want me to jump in and take that?
Go ahead. Ask Dan about it.
Okay, so Dan, the question came over and it says, I'm interested in seeing how multiple companies work. For example, we have a holding company that owns manufacturing, finance, and real estate and need consolidated financials.
Yeah, and that's the multis is what I mentioned, Rob. So so you can actually have like the holding company, and you can define the financial hierarchy however you want. But you can have any number of different companies that can actually be, you can have like a full ownership or part ownership of it, and roll those up into consolidated companies and do financials at each different level, and still be able to slice and dice the information. That's a standard component or feature of Dynamics 365 for operations.
Okay, very good. And I'm going to just check and see if I can see any other questions that have come in. I do not see any here.
Okay, so
I had a couple of polls, but they say someone else has logged in as my user, and so I'm not able to see those polls anymore. But we did want to see or ask what version or what software that you're using. If you could put that in the chat window, we would really appreciate it.
Sure. So I'm using Dynamics 365 for operations. So this
I meant end users.
Okay.
People that were on the call.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
I follow direction well.
Yeah, thank you. Now we were curious about the people that were using what people were on right now.
Yeah. So there's a question on will 365 be on-premise be available? We're making some announcements next week, so hold tight. I can't reveal anything, but hold tight, and you'll begin an answer very quickly, very soon.
Good. And then the other thing that we were curious about was how you found us. You found us through Google or email, etc. If you could add that in your chat window, I would appreciate it as well. Are there any other questions?
Well, I think we're running up to the top of the hour.
Oh yeah, we are.
Yeah. Oh, there's some more chat here.
Yeah, we got a couple things coming in, if you can see those, Dan.
So 2009 upgrading to 2012, is there an upgrade path from AX? So yes, there's certainly a 2009 to 2012 path, and there is a 2009 to AX Dynamics 365 operations path, and there'll soon be a path up. We're just shortly going to be releasing that from 2012 to D365 operations. So absolutely. Validates all your information. Make sure that is if you went from 2009 where you don't have all the different financial dimensions, that those are taken care of. Some of the architectural changes that we spent a lot of time, effort to make sure you have a quality, good upgrade.
Okay, I don't see anything else at this point.
Okay.
I guess I'll just, as a reminder, if you need to contact us, we had the email and phone number up earlier, but it's just info@clientsfirst-tx.com, or you can give us.
You can see my screen. I'm sharing it.
The only one I can see right now is the history of the ERP is what I see.
Oh, it's on there. It was
okay.
It's okay.
And then the phone number is 800-331-8382. So obviously, you've probably been in communication with us if you're attending the event today. So just reach out to us if we can help in any way. And thanks again, Dan, for a great job. And thanks to everyone for taking the time to join us on the call today.
Thank you, everybody, for a Friday afternoon, morning, or evening, depends what your locale is, or maybe even night, spending an hour with us. So thanks much, folks.
Thanks. Bye.